Yo, what up, dudes? All right, so I'm going to talk about a drill progression because I see a lot of guys who struggle with accelerating, right? Accelerating their body into their drive, but also kind of leaving this drive leg's ability to get into that hip hinge corkscrew. So obviously it's dependent on the individual, right? Because we don't want to take away the added forward momentum that the drive leg could potentially create. But for guys that lack the movement pattern of that drive leg hip, which means they kind of just collapse and fall, right? Falling would be a good terminology, without accepting that energy and really putting force into the ground and driving. This is a good drill progression for them. So it's a little bit advanced in terms of feedback and motor learning skills, I suppose. So the smartness from the athlete needs to be pretty dang high, because you're not just going to grab a ball, grab a glove, and then just do this drill and throw 100 miles an hour. You need to progress with a drill progression like this. Progress with a drill progression like this. Progress with a drill like this in terms of, okay, all we're going to do initially, so I'll explain the drill and then I'll talk about the progressions. So you're going to take a box, you're going to take a couch thing or anything that's just going to give you a surface like this. This is actually probably too low, okay? But you're going to take something like this, and all you're going to do is you're going to replicate a throw, but you're going to try to keep connection with the box to the calf or shin or whatever for as long as possible. And now I'm not saying long as possible in terms of like you're doing this, right? And this foot is concaving backwards. This is where it becomes the advanced fine line, because we're not forcing this movement from our foot, which would allow this to go like roll into eversion, ankle eversion, if you ever heard that terminology. We don't want that, because if we're gonna practice this move, then we're gonna, when we get on a mound to accelerate, our forward momentum is gonna be restricted, because our first move now is going backwards, and we don't want that. So make sure, I would even say, hey, do these barefoot. I have minimalist shoes on pretty much at all times, so I can feel the ground pretty good. So what I would say is you want pressure into the heel of the, inside the foot. So big toe pressure into the ground, heel into the ground. So your momentum starting from the foot is going to be going forward, but we just want to train the motor pattern of holding this drive leg kind of into this corkscrew, external rotation, hip hinge. There's a lot of words for it, but we're just trying to get into this pattern, which will better equip us to stabilize the incoming energy as we come down from our leg lift, and to be able to produce more energy into the ground, which hopefully in turn will allow us to get more energy up through the chain, out through the fingertips at ball release. So again, like I mentioned, with the progressions, I'd say do it in a dry setting. I have nothing, okay? All I'm trying to do is feel the foot inside, and I'm trying to get a little bit of feedback with that ankle, okay? Okay, so I kind of feel I have to shift my foot a little bit just to create that external rotation, which is fine. But again, you want good feedback. So start here. Okay, that was better. Okay, that was better. Now, I don't want you to try to keep connection like for a super long time, because I think in order for you to keep connection, you're gonna have to kind of shift your foot. So even if you just want to start with a little bit and then work your way, I think it's more important to just have the sensory input of a box there with the goal in mind, right? Because that's going to force our body to then be more, responsive to holding that kind of position there. So if that's not a good progression for you, if you're not getting good feedback, I'm not saying you have to do it. I just see a lot of guys struggle with that drive leg kind of just collapsing. Now, obviously the progressions are in a dry, then go to a towel, then go to a plyo ball, and then even go to catch play, right? But you don't want to go straight to catch play, not ever having to do the dry stuff, because then you're going to be too focused on where the ball is going that you're not going to get anything out of this. Now, another thing that I've done in the past that I want to say is a good progression, and I'm trying to look for a band around here, but I don't have it. If you were to just to wrap a band around this kind of right below your knee and then hook it up to there somewhere, that will also give you that sense of kind of pulling back. But again, we're not trying to get into ankle eversion, right? So we don't want this. Okay, I see a lot of guys trying to do that just to kind of over manipulate that move. We don't want that. We want to express energy going forward, especially during the initial move in our delivery, right? But we also want to be able to stabilize in our glutes. So it's boom. Again, these are just dry stuff, right? You need to hammer the motor control patterns. And then it's boom. So a good progression, just to feel that move even better. Slider, we're going to overemphasize now, right? So obviously we're not going to do that on the mound, but again, we're overemphasizing the feeling. So I don't know, there's 2 progressions for you. Maybe it could help, maybe not, but be smart with how you kind of progress with those, because again, there's certain goals that we want to accomplish, and we're not going to be able to if we advance to like the last tier of it. Yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully it made sense.